Welcome one, welcome all to the Kanye Spectacular. This is episode 3, and it is going to be a review of Kanye's discography. I forgot to write a review for Watch the Throne. We're just going to pretend that doesn't exist. Um, there aren't going to be track by track reviews, except for a couple albums that I will do track by track reviews on. Um, because Kanye's discography is fairly large, and I don't want to spend hours going through every song because there's a lot. Uh, but we'll go ahead and get started. His debut album, The College Dropout. This is typically seen as his best work, or his second best work, depending on who you ask. But it's typically seen as one of those. I think it's good. It's a great debut. He brings great energy to the scene, and it's very promising. But I do not think the track list is as good as it should be. I think the track list for a College Dropout suffers a fair bit from bloating. I mean, it's over an hour long. It's got like how many fucking songs? 21, or at least 21 tracks. I mean, there's like a skit and whatnot. There's multiple skits. That's one thing I don't like about this album too, is the skits. I've never been a fan of skits in albums at all. They just disrupt the music. And I mean, maybe if you're listening to an album for the first time, it can be good, but skits really just ruin the entire flow of albums for me. I want the songs to go one after the other after the other. Um, so yeah, I'd give College Dropout an 8 out of 10, which is kind of heresy to say online, because people fucking love this album. But, yeah. Uh, Favorite tracks probably like We Don't Care, All Falls Down, Jesus Walks, Slow Jams, and Through the Wire. Uh, if you know Kanye, you probably know this, but the song Through the Wire was initially recorded after he had a car accident and his mouth was wired shut, and he rapped the song through the fucking wire in his jaw, which is the most baller shit ever. And I really wish he still did cool ass shit like that instead of just hating Jewish people. But, or no, except Jonah Hill though. Jonah Hill's fine. Jonah Hill is the Jewish savior. Anyways, Late Registration, his second album. I wouldn't necessarily call this a sophomore slump. I wouldn't say that it's as good as The College Dropout. I'd say the sound is pretty similar to The College Dropout, which I'm not a fan of, because if you listen to Kanye, you know that basically every project has a new sound that he tries out. But Late Registration feels kind of like the afterbirth of College Dropout, like some tracks that weren't finished. I don't know if that's the story of it, but it's very similar to College Dropout, and I don't think it's as good as College Dropout. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Favorite tracks: Touch the Sky, Gold Digger, Roses, and Hey Mamas. Now, we get into the good shit. Graduation, his third album. I don't think I mentioned this, but his first 3 albums are a trilogy: College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. Graduation is easily the best out of this entire trilogy. It is truly where early Kanye peaked. This album, uh, it signified a shift in his sound and the way he presented himself. Because up until this point, Late Registration and College Dropout were both pretty standard hip hop albums. I mean, they were innovative, sure, but like, they were pretty firm in the genre of just typical hip hop. But with Graduation, he really went into the pop rap and electro pop kind of genres, which I absolutely love. It gives this album a sound that, like, none of his other albums have, and it truly feels triumphant. Like, it feels like a celebration of everything up until this point that Kanye has put out, even though it's only 2 albums. It feels grandiose and important, because it is. It is a banger through and through, no skips, 10 out of 10. I'm giving it a 10. I'm giving it a 10. Fuck you. Graduation is a 10. Okay, now we have 808s. 808s and Heartbreak, if you don't know, was his 4th album. It was released... Well, okay, quick little Kanye backstory. The original trilogy of his albums was going to be 4 albums. It was going to be College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, and Good Ass Job. Good Ass Job got put on hold because Kanye's mom died, Donda. And Donda. Donda, 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 Donda. Sorry, it's a meme now. But he put that on the back burner to focus on this because, you know, if your mom dies, you're probably going to be pretty sad. I would be sad if my mom died. But this album single-handedly is one of the most influential albums I've ever heard. And this came out in, I believe, 2008. Hold on. I don't know why I'm saying hold on. It doesn't really matter when it came out. I'm pretty sure 2008. Um, it, if you look at SoundCloud rap and emo trap, you can trace back basically all of their stylistic, influences back to 808s and Heartbreak because it was such a groundbreaking album. Nothing at the time sounded like 808s, and that's what made it so special. People at the time were not really that big of a fan of 808s. I mean, Heartless was a breakout hit, but for the most part, it was seen as not as good as his first three. I think that perception has shifted over time as people have seen the influence that the album has had over or had on the entire hip hop scene over the 2010s. Uh, but it's still not looked back on as fondly as his first three, and I don't know why. I'd say it's on par with College Dropout. I give it an 8 out of 10. Favorite tracks are Say You Will, Heartless, Love Lockdown, and Coldest Winter. And now we come to what is. This album is a lot. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is Kanye's fifth album. Came out in 2010, and critically it is like the one of the most well received hip hop albums of all time, and audience wise. Personally, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's a bit overrated, but given how special this album is, I want to do a track by track review of it. It's not that many tracks, I'm not track by track reviewing One Wayne G by Mac DeMarco. Okay, I'm not fucking reviewing 200 songs. But we start off with Dark Fantasy, which is a pretty okay intro. I mean, I never get the urge to listen to Dark Fantasy, but I will start with Dark Fantasy if I want to listen to the album. Uh, I'd say the intro with Nicki is a bit odd. Uh, it's the production that throws me off, because this album has awesome production for the most part, but something about the way Nicki's voice and the background kind of vocals are produced, I don't really like them. They sound kind of compressed and just like lo-fi, but not in like a cool lo-fi way. But once Kanye gets onto the track, it gets a lot better. Also, you can't forget the Can We Get Much Higher? That's a classic, The One Piece is real. That's not even a meme anymore. But I think the song's good. It takes a minute to get started, though. I Kanye does a lot of Kanye lines on this one, if you know what I mean by like Kanye being Kanye. He just says some stupid shit, but it goes kind of hard. And that brings us to the next track, Gorgeous, which features Kid Cudi and Raekwon. Pretty pretty banger ass lineup. That'll be a theme continuing on. Um, I think Kanye's verse on Gorgeous is one of the coolest fucking verses he's ever written. Um, it's about fucking police brutality and stuff like that. I sound stupid minimizing it and being like stuff like that. That's what it's about, stuff of that nature. And it's great. If you have seen that meme about music then versus music now, and it's like, I want to ride my bicycle, I want to ride my bike, and it's Freddie Mercury, then it's Kanye, and Penitentiary chances, the devil dances. That's from this song. I like that meme a lot. But yeah, this song is good. It's much better than Dark Fantasy. It's not great. I like it. Or it's not amazing. It's pretty great. I give it like, I'm not rating songs. That's going to take way too long. Number 3, Power. This is probably the most iconic track from this album. I mean, Runaway might be more iconic, but I'd say the most played is definitely Power. Power is a fucking banger that makes you feel like you're on thousands of stimulant drugs and you took over the world and then you fucking jump out a window. It's an awesome song. It's got this nice sample of Afro America from the I forgot who made Afro America. And then 21st Century Schizoid Man by King Crimson. Jesus, I cannot talk. Is also sampled in it, which it gives this beat a really interesting feel to it. And it's also a very grandiose track. I mean, this album, grandiosity can describe this entire album. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's very good. I remember when I first heard this song, I was playing Saints Row the Third, I should say, There's a mission where you jump out of a plane. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember the story of Saints Row 3 at all, but I remember there was this cool song that I liked hearing because it sounded nice. And then, like, years later, I found it, and it was Power. Um, I don't know. I don't. That's just kind of a little tidbit of story. That's some Jameson lore for you. Track 4, All of the Lights interlude, is an interlude between Power and All of the Lights. If I'm not mistaken, Elton John is the one playing the piano on this interlude, and it is beautiful. Like, this is one of the most beautiful interlude tracks I've ever heard. It's so good, and just like, it makes me wish that every interlude track was like this, because, look, the best two interlude tracks are For Free by Kendrick and All of the Lights interlude. I'd probably say. No, I take that back. But they're up there. We're gonna ignore the you know what? I gotta put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I'm not trying to get this podcast interrupted more. Anyways, All the Lights interlude is good. It sets up All of the Lights very well, which is All of the Lights has aged interestingly. If you read the lyrics, the situation that he describes literally just happened to him, like, it over the past year. You know, can't see restraining order, can't see my daughter, her mother, brother, grandmother hate me in that order. I mean, that's pretty fucking on the nose. He was, I mean, he was a little over 10 years too early to that. You know, I don't even think he knew Kim at the time. I think they met in like, no, they met way back. Never mind. But All the Lights is great. It's got this electro club vibe to it. It's also got this kind of a drum and bass type drum beat going on, and I really like that. And that gets us to the next song. Oh yeah, I don't remember if I said the song's great. It brings us to the next song, Monster. Now, look, I'm not going to really talk much about Monster. I'm going to read you Jay-Z's verse from Monster. Because Jay-Z is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. And obviously Kanye and Jay-Z go back a long time. I should mention that this song features Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Nicki Minaj, and Bon Iver, because fucking why not Bon Iver? But I gotta scroll down to Jay. So, if you've heard Nicki's verse, you know it's a masterpiece of writing. Then we go to Jay's verse. Sasquatch, Godzilla, King Kong, Loch Ness, Goblin, Ghoul, a zombie with no conscience. Question, what do these things all have in common? Everybody knows I'm a motherfucking monster. What the fuck does that mean? Bro, you are one of the best lyricists of all time, and that's the best you could come up with? What does that mean? What do these things all have in common? Everyone knows I'm a motherfucking monster. How do they have that in common? They have in common that everyone knows you're a monster? I don't know. I made a TikTok about this a while back. I've always look. Jay's verse is not deep or anything, but it goes hard. I can't lie. You know, I like to turn up to it. It's nice. The rest of the verses are good. I should mention Nicki's verse again. This is the best Nicki verse ever. Nicki's verse in Monster is what made me a Nicki fan, because I wasn't really into Nicki. But I will go word for word. Well, not word for word. I will go almost word for word with Nicki on this verse if it ever comes on in the car. Or in any scenario. Now we'll go to the next track, So Appalled. It's good. I mean, it's a posse cut, so it's going to be a little bit long-winded. Jay's verse on So Appalled, though, is way better than his verse on Monster. But the more and more I listen to this album, the more I find myself skipping So Appalled. I wouldn't say it's the weakest song. Or, actually, yeah. Yeah, it's the weakest song, easily, now that I think about it. It's still good, but it does not live up to the other songs on here. Devil in a New Dress is an underrated gem in Kanye's discography. I don't really hear people talk about this song, but I really like it. It's a unique vibe, and I love Rick Ross's voice, okay? Rick Ross can get on a mic and say whatever the fuck he wants, and I'll probably turn up to it. But I don't really hear many people talk about this one, or Hell of a Life, which we'll get to later. But, I mean, this song is great. We will go now to Runaway featuring Pusha T. Longest song on the album and best song on the album, I'd say. Runaway is 9 minutes long, but it doesn't really feel that long-winded. Most of that time is just waiting for the fucking piano note in the intro to change. But with Runaway, Kanye gives some of the most introspective lyrics that he's given in a while. I don't know why I said that. Ever. And Push's verse is also great. I love the instrumental. The lyrics that Kanye writes are just fucking insane. Also memeable. Because I would never email someone a picture of my dick, but Kanye can do whatever he wants. I don't care. Next, we move on to Hell of a Life. By the way, that song that I just gave, I know I don't rate songs, but I do give Runaway a 10 out of 10 rating. That will be one of the few exceptions to rating single songs. With 10, we've got Hell of a Life, which is another underrated gem. I absolutely love the bass line in this. It is so funky, and I just fell in love with the porn star. The verse goes hard. The instrumental, the production, it all comes together and makes just a fucking great track. I'd say this is my second favorite song on the album, which is a pretty unpopular opinion to have, but, you know, who gives a fuck? Next up, we got Blame Game with John Lennon. John Lennon? John Legend, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got Blame Game with John Lennon. We're going to go back to episode 1. I'm going to go on a John Lennon tangent and then talk about Christian music for some reason. That was completely unplanned. Anyways, Blame Game is good. It's definitely too long, though. It's almost 8 minutes, and I really think it could be done in like 4 or 5. It really doesn't need to be that long. But, I mean, what's there is pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's decent. Lost in the World. I have the same feeling of Lost in the World that I do in So Appalled. I tend to skip it. Who Will Survive in America is a pretty good outro. It's not really, like a song, but it's a nice outro. And that closes out the album. Now, this album that has been given nothing but critical acclaim and perfect scores, what do I rate it? Well, 8.5 out of 10. It's not Kanye's best project, not by a long shot, and I think people need to stop fucking kissing its ass. It's good, no doubt. I mean, 8.5 is a fucking great score. It's a great album, but compared to his other later projects, I don't think you can really compare this to the quality of, Life of Pablo or Kids See Ghosts. Spoiler alert, those are coming up later. If you didn't, spoiler alert, Kanye has albums, but yeah, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. I will say that's one of the disadvantages of doing a podcast like this where I don't edit it at all, is that if I need to do something, I have to, pause the recording or whatever. I don't give a fuck, though. We're moving on to Yeezus. I swear, I put it on fucking silent. We're moving on to Yeezus. 2013, experimental hip-hop. I like to refer to this album as, Fisher-Price Baby's first experimental hip-hop project, because while this is experimental for Kanye, and he likes to call it an experimental hip-hop project, it's not really. There's definitely some unorthodox production choices and songwriting methods, but as a whole, I don't know, man. I don't know what I was talking about. I blanked on what I was just saying. Baby's first experimental hip-hop. Yeah. It's really, Oh, shit. This podcast is falling apart. My chair just fell back. I forgot what I was talking about. We're going to restart that, okay? Yeezus is Baby's first experimental hip-hop album. It's experimental for Kanye, not really for another artist or whatever. But this, over time, has grown on me exponentially. I didn't really like Yeezus. I liked Black Skinhead and Bound 2. But at first, that's really all that I liked. But it's grown on me a lot, and it's probably it's one of my favorites. It starts out with On Site, which I fucking love because it's such a meme. I don't know if you know this, if you guys know this obscure reference. There is, if you guys know, you guys remember Lunch Club with, Tommy Carson and Ted Nivison? They did a Try Not to Laugh video, and there's a meme that was shared in that called I Am Going to Be Switzerland. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. It's whatever. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But On Site is a great song. it really it's definitely one way to start off an album. It's intense, it's loud, it's abrasive, but I really like it. Oh, it's braggadocious as all fuck too. Kanye is full of himself. This album is called Yeezus. He has a song called "I Am a God." This is kind of Kanye's peak in terms of like self worship and loving him and loving Kanye, because Kanye loves Kanye. Everyone knows that. But yeah, On Site, great track. It's not that long, but it doesn't really need to be that long. It's kind of like a little brief intro. Then we got Black Skinhead, which is nice. My entire life, I've been trying to figure out what to describe the little instrument that's like boom, 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 boom. I don't know what that is, but it hits hard. I really like the drum intro, and then the breaths, and then the sampled like screams, not screams, but like vocals, kind of screamy vocals, and the like distortion. It sounds kind of like distorted guitar, but it's not. It really builds this track up to be one of my favorite Kanye songs ever. Although he does say the line, "I keep it 300 like the Romans," which 300 was the Spartans, not the Romans, but I guess no one no one dared tell Kanye that his lyric was wrong. Next we got "I Am a God." I don't really like this song, not because it's like sacrilegious, I don't give a fuck, but it just kind of goes on. What the fuck? I'm okay. I have Rate Your Music pulled up. That's how I have the track list pulled up. Not Wikipedia this time. It says "I Am God" is a featured artist of God. That's funny. It's an alright song. It goes on for too long. I feel like this would be better as an interlude. New Slaves is fucking awesome. I love the synth lead that, drives this song. Although the whole, I don't know, Kanye making a song about slavery, and it's not about slavery, but called New Slaves after his slavery remarks, which I'm not gonna get into. I'm not gonna get into any political Kanye stuff. I mean, I made fun of him for the anti-Semitism, but like for the most part, I'm just reviewing his music here, not him as a person. It's a bit of an odd choice, but I think it fits well. It's a nice song. It goes hard. I'll bump it, and I'll have a good time in the car. Hold My Liquor is entirely too long, but I absolutely love it. It feels like a song that should not be as long as it is, but it's long, and I love it for that. Bitch, I'm back out my coma. I will be just sitting doing nothing, and then out of nowhere in my head I'll just get, bitch, I'm back out my coma. I I don't know why, but that just pops into my head all the time. This song gets me hyped up, like, a lot. I'm In It is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's good. Honestly, I can't even... I'm trying to play it, like, in my head. I can't remember it. That's how not rememberable it is. Or unforgettable. Or forgettable it is. Sorry. Jesus, I cannot speak. Blood on the Leaves is a really nice kind of get you going type song. This entire album is pretty hype. It definitely has the kind of epic, not the quite grandiosity of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but it's very aggressive, and you can tell Kanye is manic as fuck and off his meds making this, but it's a pretty big track. It's long. It's 6 minutes long, but it doesn't really feel like it's that long. I think mainly because the "We Could Have Been Somebody" chorus is just so good that it doesn't matter how many times you repeat it, it doesn't get old. It's a great song. Guilt Trip, kind of similar to I'm In It, although I like this song. I don't have that much to say about it. It's not normally a skip, but it's not normally something I listen to that intensely. Send It Up is... Send It Up is pretty good. I hear a lot of people hating on this track. I think it's nice. It's a nice little rest before the closer, Bound 2. Which Bound 2, I don't know what Bound 2 is doing on this album, because this does not sound like a Yeezus song. Like, you listen to all the songs on this album and you're like, what's the last one? And then you listen to Bound 2 and you're like, what the hell is this? Bound 2 sounds like it was something that would have been made, like stylistically, it sounds like it would have been made in like the, maybe College Dropout. No, not College Dropout. I'd say more Graduation. Honestly, never mind. I don't think, come to think of it, it sounds like a mishmash of early and mid stage Kanye. It doesn't really sound like any specific stage. It's like kind of a mix. But it does not sound like the rest of Jesus at all. But this song is great. It's my favorite song on the album. I will, if I am sad, I will put this song on and fucking, whew, you do not want to see me when Bound 2 comes on. But yeah, that's Jesus. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I know I was a little critical of it, but I I'm more critical of it when I speak about it than when I'm actually listening to it. It's great. And now, The Life of Pablo, released in 2016. I believe this is Kanye's magnum opus and the best thing he's ever made. And because of that, of course, it's getting a track-by-track review. Okay, I did not pull it up because I am not a professional podcaster and I never pull shit up, so I have to type in the middle of the podcast and annoy everyone. Life of Pablo. The fuck? Rate your... Enable image display in settings. Oh, never mind. Rate your music is tweaking. Okay, Ultralight Beam. First song on Life of Pablo. This song makes me want to be religious. I'm not religious anymore, but like this song makes me want to be a Christian, bro. The vibe of it is so immaculate, and it's just I love the kind of gospel-esque vocals, or not the kind of gospel-esque vocals, the gospel vocals. It's great. And I really wish Kanye made more songs like this, because this isn't really something that he ever did again. Ultralight Beam is kind of a red herring in his discography. It's, if you heard Ultralight Beam as your first Kanye song, and you're like, I want to listen to more of this guy, you're not going to be happy. But that brings us to the next song, Father Stretch My Hands, Part 1. I'll get it out of the way. If I fuck this model, she just bleached her asshole, and I get bleach on my t-shirt, I'm gonna feel like an asshole. That's all I have to say about this track. Part 2 is Part 2 of Father Stretch My Hands. But for real though, Father Stretch My Hands is a pretty good song. I really like the chorus, and honestly, I like the "If I Fuck This Model" line. I like it. It's so Kanye, and it's iconic, really. Part 2 is a remix of Panda by Designer, which definitely takes me back in time. I knew this album was in 2016, but I didn't know how far back 2016 was. But yeah, if you like Panda, you'll like this song. If you don't, you don't. I personally, I loved Panda when it was big, and so a Kanye remix of Panda is pretty good. Track 4, Famous, is probably the most controversial track on the album, for multiple reasons. One, the line, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex, why I made that bitch famous. That's questionable. I've heard that Kanye asked her for permission to use that line. She said yes, but she did not agree to being called a bitch. So I don't know. I've seen a picture of Taylor Swift in Yeezys, so I honestly don't know what Taylor thinks of Kanye anymore. Obviously the VMA incident and everything. We're not going to get into that. But Famous also features a music video, which I saw when I was like 12, and I'll never forget that. It's just Kanye with a bunch of naked look-alike celebrities on his bed. I don't know how it's allowed to stay on YouTube, but it's been on there ever since it's been uploaded, so whatever. Feedback is, it's not a freestyle, but it feels like it's kind of a freestyle vibe. It's more of just, he gets on a beat and just kind of goes for a little bit with the same flow, It's not a super intricately crafted song. It's just rapping on a beat for like 2.5 minutes. Pretty simple, but it's effective. I really like the beat. It's like, I can't describe what the beat sounds like. You just really have to listen to it. Lowlights is an interlude, and it's a little long for an interlude, but I don't mind, because this is not just spoken word. It has some music behind it that really adds to it, And I love the kind of preachy, mini sermon that he throws in. It's nice. Uh, Next track, Highlights, track 7, is, after Lowlights, of course, because high, low. Highlights is. I remember when I first heard it, I didn't like it at all. But like a lot of Kanye songs have grown on me over time. A lot of songs in general have grown on me over time. But I think Highlights is pretty good. Although I do think the ending could be tweaked, but I don't think that the ending is bad. I think this album is perfect. I'm gonna say that, so that when I nitpick tiny things, don't really take them into account. It doesn't fucking matter. Freestyle 4 is. It's a good track, but it is strange and odd and not what you would expect from Kanye. It's just kind of it's manic as fuck. He's definitely manic during this, screaming, freestyling. What if we fucked right here in front of everyone? What if we fucked? What if we fucked? You know the fucking song. You probably do. I don't know. Then we get I Love Kanye, which is another interlude. I miss the old Kanye. Did I just I just forgot I skipped a line. We're gonna ignore that. I do know the words. I'm just high. So, I Love Kanye is good. Nice little interlude. I mean, it's not like greatest song of all time, but it's fun. Then we get Waves, which lyrically, I don't think this song is that much. Like, it's not that special. But what really makes the song amazing is the beat. The beat for Waves is so good, and the vocals, while the lyrics are kind of meh, the vocals on top of the beat make it just sound way better. And I really like this song. It's good. Also, I think Waves features... Fuck, who does it feature? I don't remember. I want to say Chance the Rapper. I could be entirely wrong on that, though. I am entirely wrong on that, though. I don't know who features. It's someone, though. Next track, FML, featuring The Weeknd, is... Look, this album has been pretty boastful and upbeat up until this point, but then as soon as you hit FML, track 11, the album gets a lot sadder. I think... I don't know if Kanye intentionally did this, but the first half of the album is not necessarily happy, but more upbeat and light, and then the second half is more dark and depressive, which I think might be kind of an artistic representation of his bipolar disorder, but, I don't know. Maybe he just decided to make a bipolar album. Maybe he didn't. Who knows? But FML is a pretty good song. I would say it. The vocals by The Weeknd are some of my favorite. It's one of my favorite Weeknd performances ever. Even though he doesn't really have that many lines, it's nice. I like it a lot. And now we move on to Real Friends, which is where the album goes from that was sad to oh my god, this is just gonna be sad for the rest of it, isn't it? Real Friends is. It's about real friends. How many of them do you have? Are you a real friend? Do you have real friends? And him telling stories of what happened. And with Real Friends, he opens up about a story that I think is interesting. Apparently, he had a sex tape on a laptop and his fucking cousin stole it. And he had to pay $250K just to get the fucking laptop back so his cousin didn't leak the video. Which, bro... the fuck kind of cousin does that? I don't know. But, Real Friends ends and it goes into Wolves. Now, Wolves is... For the longest time, Wolves was my favorite track. Mainly because of the beat, the Sia feature. It's great. But it's still one of my favorites. But I wouldn't say it is my favorite. Wolves is... It's kind of interesting. It's not necessarily much of a rap song. Kanye's flow isn't really rappy, and most of the vocals are sung. Except for the chorus, which is kind of spoken word, which isn't normal for Kanye. He doesn't really do spoken word type stuff, but he's like, what if Mary was in the club, but she met Joseph around hella thugs, whatever. Great song. Next track is Frank's track. Now, I need to mention this album has had multiple versions. When this album was initially released, it was only put on the streaming service Tidal, and the mix and the track list was a bit different. It wasn't very good. But over time, Kanye updated the album, and initially, Wolves had an outro sung by Frank Ocean. But in the new, and basically the only version of the album you can still find, like if you go on Spotify, Apple Music, it's going to be what you listen to. Frank's outro for Wolves is its own track. And I love Frank Ocean, if you were not aware. I, you could say I fuck with Frank Ocean, but a little too much. But I really like this, and this was the first exposure to Frank Ocean as well. Was this song? I didn't know who the fuck Frank was. I figured it was like a track for someone, like maybe like someone in his family is named Frank and he made a track for him or whatever. But nah, that's not what that is. Then we get Silver Surfer Intermission, another interlude track. It's like a phone call. It's nice. Not really a song, but it's an interlude. What can you expect? 30 Hours is a song that you can drive to on repeat forever. The beat is nice, and it just kind of goes on for a while, but while I would say that's a negative, I feel like with this song, the beat going on after the vocals stop is really a positive, because the beat for this song is just really good, and it's just nice. The lyrics are also pretty good too. I mean, they're not runaway. I wouldn't say that, but they're great. And I mean, I feel like I should mention, when I say lyrics for a song aren't good, that doesn't mean the song isn't good. Songs have different strengths. Like, sure, let me think of an example. Can't think of an example, but typically if I say a song has bad lyrics, but if it's on an album that I've given a 10 out of 10, just means that the instrumental is the best part, and it makes it even better. But now we move on to No More Parties in LA, track fucking 17? I don't know. I'm looking at Rate Your Music, and they have the original track list, which doesn't include Frank's track. I think it's the same. It's not. It doesn't have St. Pablo. Okay, yeah. Well, anyways, track 17, No More Parties in LA, is peak Kanye to a T and peak Kendrick to a T. Yes, I said Pete Kendrick. Pete Kendrick is technically To Pimp a Butterfly, but given that this was released so close to Pimp a Butterfly, I consider it to be the same era. No More Parties in LA is a 6-minute monster of a track over a Madlib beat, which this song makes me want a Kendrick x Madlib collab so bad. Kendrick is my favorite rapper of all time. I haven't mentioned that. And Madlib's one of my favorite producers. But Kendrick has a unique voice, as you know if you've listened to him. It's kind of nasally, and it sounds really good over the Madlib beat in No More Parties for LA. No More Parties in LA, sorry. But yeah, this song is great. I think the songwriting on this song really shows what Kanye is capable of when he's at his full potential. It's just a great song all around. There's literally no problems with it. Perfect song. Next we've got Facts, Charlie Heat version. Facts is basically just Kanye getting on the mic over a hype beat and just spitting straight facts. Spitting facts, just talking about shit. And sure, it's not that deep, but it doesn't have to be. It's fun. It's nice. Do anybody feel bad for Bill Cosby? No. That line hasn't aged that well, or I guess it wasn't good when it first came out. I don't know who feels bad for Bill Cosby, but then we got Fade, which is kind of like a funky little electro beat track with the same vocal sample pretty often, but it's not grating or anything. It's not like what's that Death Grip song, the vocal sample that's annoying as fuck? System Blower, I think. But it's not like that. It's really good. And it's not that long, but like many other penultimate Kanye tracks, it gives you a rest before the final track of the album. Now, when this album was first released on Tidal, the final track that I'm about to say was not on the album. But when it was released to Spotify and after it was fully done, this song was the closer. And that is Saint Pablo. Saint Pablo is tied with Ghost Town for Kanye's best song ever. Saint Pablo makes me wish Kanye was just still in the Pablo era. Saint Pablo is one of his most introspective, personal, relatable, everything songs. This song will fucking blow your socks off if you listen to it. It's really just a masterpiece of hip-hop, and I think probably one of the best. Like, I'd say this is top 3 songs of the 2010s. Definitely. So, 10 out of 10, Life of Pablo. Where do we go next? Well, we go to Ye, which was, I feel like I should mention, in 2018, which is the year Ye came out, Kanye put out a few different projects. The 2 projects he put out that he had his name like on as main artist were Kids See Ghost and Ye, but he also produced Pusha T's Daytona, and then he had some stuff in other albums that I don't remember. But these were all 7-track albums that released within like 5 weeks of each other in 2017 or 2018, sorry. And yeah, I will talk about Ye really quick. I'm not gonna track by track break down Ye. Ye is pretty good. I think it's a little shaky in the pacing, but I really like I Thought About Killing You, and Ghost Town is, like I said, fucking one of the best Kanye songs. Like with a lot of songs I can explain what makes them so good, but with Ghost Town and fucking what was the other one that I couldn't? I don't know. But Ghost Town, it's just I love Party Next Door's vocals, I guess. Those are a big part. The Kid Cudi on this track is odd. It's great, but it's not like a type of vocal you hear from Kid Cudi at all. But it's great. And then Kanye's verse, of course, is awesome. And then the whole outro with the Nothing Hurts Anymore, I Feel Free, banger. But Violent Crimes is also a great song. It's a song for his daughter, which is nice. But listening to it now, it is very, very sad. Speaking of Ye songs that are very sad, Wouldn't Leave isn't one of my favorite songs, but listening to it today, it's one of the saddest Kanye songs ever, because it's kind of like that song that was unreleased that Kanye wrote for Kim, that, after their divorce, really, it shines a different light on it. But yeah, Ye I'd give a 7 out of 10. I mean, like, Ghost Town is obviously a masterpiece, and I Thought About Killing You is great. Violent Crimes is heart-crushing, but I'd say, as a whole, it's like a 7 out of 10. The project isn't the best. Not that it's bad, though. 7 out of 10 is still well above average. Now, Kids See Ghosts. I am not a Fantano shill, but yes, I believe Kids See Ghosts is a 10 out of 10, and I will explain why. So going to Kids See Ghost, if we look at it, it's listed under, I forget that Kids See Ghost is listed under their own artist on Spotify and Rate Your Music, so I've got to look up the track list because I'm on Kanye's Rate Your Music page. Anyways, if I can get the track list up, I'll do a track-by-track review of it. Jesus, you have to go long for the track. I just have to scroll for like 15 seconds just to get to the track list. That's insane. Anyways, opens with Feel the Love featuring Pusha T. Starts with this nice synth bass line, and then I can still feel the love, but I can't do the vocals because those vocals are insane. But yeah, and then Pusha comes in with the first verse on the album, which is nice and really gets the whole thing set up. And then the entire beat on this song is just insane. Like, I don't know what, like, I would hate to see this in, like, a DAW, because it would look like a clusterfuck, but it sounds great. Next song is Fire. It feels kind of like a march or a pirate song or a funeral dirge, but not, like, in a sad way. I should mention also that this was produced partly by Andre 3000. I didn't mention that this is a collab album. I didn't. That's an important thing to mention. This album is by Kid See Ghost, but Kid See Ghost is Kanye West and Kid Cudi. Sadly, we're never going to get more Kid See Ghost after their relationship has splintered off, but we still have this masterpiece. Fourth Dimension is just hype. It's hype as fuck. Kanye's verse is fire. Cudi's verse is fire. The beat is so good. They sampled this like a old Christmas song from the 50s, and it's a major part of the beat. And it's great. Also, She Say I'm in the Wrong Hole, I Say I'm Lost is one of my favorite Kanye lines ever. I will never not laugh when that comes on. And now we have Free, Ghost Town Part 2. Does it live up to Ghost Town Part 1? I'd say it's equal with it. It's much more of a... it feels a lot trippier, in a way, than Ghost Town Part 1. But the way Free is that... I don't know. It really feels like a continuation of Ghost Town, but not at the same time. It's good, though. I don't really have much to say about it, because it's kind of hard to describe the sound of Free. I love the song, but I can't really describe the sound of it. Now, Reborn is one of the best songs I've ever heard. I'm not crying, I just have sniffles. Reborn is one of the most encouraging and hopeful songs I've ever heard. If I am ever feeling depressed or down, I can put on Reborn, and I will most likely feel better. That's how powerful this song is. I remember when I first heard this song, I cried. It was so beautiful. It's an amazing song, and it really helped me get through one of the hardest times in my life. When I'm not going to get into why that time in my life was hard, but there was a time where I was listening to this song a lot, and I think Cudi's verse is just a masterpiece. I mean Kanye's is too, but for me, I relate more to Cudi's verse, and I think everyone should listen to this song. It's a great song. Kids See Ghost is a pretty straight hip-hop song. It's not that experimental. It does feature Yasin Bey, also known as Mos Def, who is one of my favorite rappers, and I mean one of the best rappers of all time. It's not really as groundbreaking as the other songs, but that doesn't make it any less quality. It's a banger. It's 4 minutes long, so it's longer than most of the songs on the album, and I love the beat. It's like dum 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 dum. It's great. I don't know how to describe what instrument that is. That's a common theme with Kanye's productions, is that I can't tell you what those instruments are supposed to be. But it's great. Now then, Cudi Montage. Cudi Montage is crushing, bro. The first verse is alright. I mean, not great. But it's pretty sad. And then we get to the second part of Cudi Montage, and it is devastating as fuck. I don't think Cudi Montage is recognized nearly enough. I think that... What the fuck? I have it pulled up on Wikipedia. Cudi Montage, Kurt Cobain is credited as a songwriter. I'm not making this shit up. Kurt Cobain? On fucking Cudi Montage? Maybe the fucking guitar is like a Kurt Cobain outtake or something. I don't know. But yeah, Cudi Montage is not talked about nearly enough. I think that Kanye's verse towards the end of it is just so good. And it really puts things into perspective of how, even though you could be on one side, both sides lose someone. One person goes to jail, one person dies. And it's a cycle that continues. It's happened in his life. It's happened in Cudi's life. They both relate to this. And while personally no one I know has gone through... personally I haven't gone through this. Many of my friends have gone through similar things. And this song really helped me understand. Because, I was a sheltered fucking middle-aged kid. I don't know shit about, things of the hood nature. I mean, now I do because I kind of I fuck with hood people more now. I can't stand middle class people, bro. They're the worst. But or no, high upper class is worse. But Kids See Ghosts, 10 out of 10. They are on beast mode with this project. Favorite tracks, all of them. Really. Same for T-Lop. I don't think I mentioned that, but favorite tracks are all of them. Jesus is King is Kanye's 2019 album, and it is Kanye's worst album, bar none. If you don't know, Kanye was working on what was kind of going to be a successor to Yeezus. It's called Yandhi. And Yandhi leaked, and it was really good. It wasn't finished, It obviously sounded unfinished. It wasn't, perfect. But the songs had a lot of potential. But around this time, Kanye changed his name to Ye, went back into Christianity, and was like, I'm only making Christian music now, no secular music. So he put out Jesus is King, and it's just wasted potential. This album makes me sad when I listen to it. It's because Yandhi had so much potential. It had potential to be the best Kanye project. But then this happened, and I think Jesus is King is really the beginning of the end when it comes to Kanye's career. But yeah, huge wasted potential. Fun fact, 20% of this album's vocals were recorded on a fucking iPhone microphone, which is insane, and shows you just about how much Kanye actually cared about the quality of this project. Favorite track is Follow God. That song is pretty good. Everything else is pretty ass, but Follow God I can get down to. It's a nice beat. I like the Father I stretch my hands to you reference and sample. But yeah, 3 out of 10. I never go back to this album. I really wish that this didn't happen, because this is really what killed Kanye's career. But without further ado, we've reached Donda. Donda is difficult for me to form an opinion on. On one hand, I admire him for what he tried to do. On the other hand, though, you released an album that is so fucking filled with the most mid tracks. It's so bloated. Especially the deluxe version. The deluxe version is like, 2 hours long? And it has like part 2s for every song. Like, I think Jail, Hurricane, Praise God, these are good songs. These are pretty good songs. But when they're surrounded, for each good song, you have like 5 mid-ass songs that you'll never really want to listen to, it just doesn't make the album that great. I'd still say the album's above average. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. But while Jesus is King had committed the sin of being a bad album, Donda committed the sin of being a mid album. Honestly, I think mid is worse than bad. Because at least you can talk about bad, No one wants to talk about a mid album or a mid song. No one gives a fuck. Donda 2 is a piece of shit. I didn't write a review for Donda 2. I listened to it when it came out, though. True Love was alright. That's about it. Everything else from that point on was just kind of shitty. But yeah, Kanye has made a discography that is one of my favorite in the entire music industry. And it's sad to see the way he's gone down, but I personally am still holding hope for a new Kanye project that's pretty good. Because if you remember, he didn't leak it. Someone leaked unfinished Kanye song that was like being made recently. It had an Alex Jones sample at the end, which wasn't the biggest fan of, but the song itself was a banger. And, I feel like after he's taken back his anti-Semitic claims, which, sure, he took them back, does that mean his career is going to get fixed? Fuck no. I feel like people will probably start coming back around to him, but then again, at the same time, I don't know. I really think Kanye's career might be over, but at the same time, he's Kanye. I don't think he's going to stop making music until the day he's dead, because that's what he was put on this earth to do, was to make music. And we just spent about an hour going over the music he's made. And that's the end. Episode 3, Kanye Spectacular. Out.